Hi, I'm Jacob Robert Perry,
And I'm Noah Simpson.
and today we are joined by a very special guest, Miss Deborah Pickett, running for Congress for the District 36.
For District 5.
I was close.
Yes. It can be confusing.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Miss Pickett. We just have a few questions for you, if you don't mind us asking.
My pleasure.
Okay, so first question, what party are you for?
So I represent the Democratic Party.
What made you want to choose the Democratic Party over? Hold on one second. Sorry, program still. Can you switch us real quick? All right. What made you want to choose the Democratic Party over, say, Independent, Libertarian, or Republican?
Well, at one time I was a Republican, and I decided to become a Democrat and represent the Democratic Party for two reasons. One is because I'm much more in line with their policies than any of the other parties. I believe, contrary to my opponents, that government plays a very important role in our life, particularly if it's efficient and effective, it's well funded, and so that distinguishes me from the other independent and libertarian candidates. And then as far as being a Republican, I absolutely do not believe that government should be involved in the personal lives of its citizens. And when Roe v. Wade was overturned, which meant now that women did not have the reproductive rights were removed, that was for me a very powerful line that I could not support. So I've been a Democrat for quite a while.
All right. Is there anything with schools you're wanting to change already, or do you have any plans?
So as your next Congresswoman and running for federal office, I don't have that much to do with the local decisions regarding your school and your education. I would be sort of responsible at the federal level in Washington, D.C. for making sure that federal dollars that come to the state the state of Indiana are then dispersed then to the cities and the different school systems. So I don't have control over those decisions at that federal level. However, I do have strong opinions about the value of public education. I have strong opinions about what the necessity of a great, strong public education. The reason why you are here, the reason why you come to school is to learn, to develop, learn about facts, acquire knowledge, so that when you go out there in the world, you're making wise, important decisions. And to me, this whole campaign is about the election. The Donald Trump administration, the potential, is all about facts. Do you value facts? What are you going to do with those facts? How are you going to use those facts to make wise decisions for yourselves, for your families, and for your communities? So that, to me, is where I'm interested. And public education is critical, and you need to make sure that you've got the best teachers that can impart that knowledge and those facts to you, so that when you go out there, you have great foundation upon which to build, and you've got great foundation so you can pursue the interests and careers that you're looking for.
You mentioned just now that you wouldn't be responsible mainly for local things involving schools. Apart from funding, how exactly do you know that how do you know the system works for schools based on your knowledge so far?
So I would say, when you look at the data and statistics for the state of Indiana, that we are failing our students, that the number of students now that are going on to college has actually declined over the past 2 years, not 2 years, the past decade. It has declined. We have fewer students going on for advanced education. And so that is to the detriment. That's the detriment to the individuals, to their talents, their untapped potential. And that also means that the workers, the laborers, the innovators that we need for our state, we're not going to have them. And actually, it's a big problem for a lot of employers that do not have the right kind of workers. There is a big factory that is being built, a big battery factory that is being built in one of the cities that's in my district, in the city of Kokomo. It actually had to bring workers from South Korea to build this factory. So we have got a shortage of labor in the state of Indiana, and we have approximately over 200,000 positions that have been unfulfilled because we don't have people that have bachelor degrees, graduate degrees, and other professional degrees.
You said that we're failing, that the school system's failing because we're not seeing as many people go to college. What's saying that not going to college doesn't equal failure, especially for those students who say want to become entrepreneurs and stuff like that?
Absolutely. So the other thing is, not only does the state of Indiana not have people who have those higher degrees, but we do not have enough people who have the wonderful trades, plumbing, electricians, and we have many unfulfilled positions around the state of Indiana. They're actually being filled by undocumented workers, undocumented immigrants that have come into this state that help to the construction industry, the hospitality industry, the meat packing industry. These are right now being filled by undocumented immigrants, the illegal aliens that Donald Trump keeps talking about that he wants to have deported. Those right now, those individuals are playing a very important part in Indiana's economy. We have a problem with not having enough workers in all different positions to help drive our prosperity.
Okay, so if you win the election, is there anything that you would want to push for schools to change or modify?
Yes. I want to make sure you have got great funding, that you are able to attract the best teachers that have the best training, that when you walk into school in the morning time, you are excited to be here, you are learning interesting information that you feel encouraged and stimulated by, that you feel that, my gosh, this is exciting. I want to learn more about this, because you become, this should be a place where you really continue to further your curiosity about life, your curiosity about science, or your curiosity about how things work, your curiosity about what are you going to do with your own talents and your own dreams, how are you going to pursue them and realize them. So I would want to make sure that you have superb teachers, that they have been well compensated. They are, right now, they are poorly underfunded. So it's very hard to keep them, to attract them to the field of teaching. It is not viewed, teachers are essential for an economy, essential for a community, essential for a country. They are imparting the knowledge for the next generation of leaders, which is exactly what you are. So I want to make sure that they are well trained, well compensated, and that you have got fantastic resources available to you. Look at this incredible studio that we're in. This is something that I did not have when I was a student. So I would want to make sure that you have got the great kinds of equipment that you need that help you advance your knowledge. And the studio is an example. Science labs is another example. Seeing the world, being able maybe to go to another part of the world on a part of your language study programs. It is a fascinating, fabulous world out there. And so I would want to make sure you have the resources available to learn about the world and pursue your own talents and interests.
So at this school, we have a nationally recognized math teacher. His name is Mr. Zichkowski. We normally just call him Mr. Z. If we're failing per se and we have this underfunding, how would you expect us to be able to attract said quality teachers, like say attract 1 million Mr. Z's? How would you expect to do that?
Wouldn't that be a glorious thing to have 1 million Mr. Z's? So I think that it starts with two places. One is that the Mr. Z's need to be getting thousands of dollars more. Probably they need to be making at least a six-figure salary. They are that valuable to the economy of the state of Indiana. They are valuable because when people see that, oh my gosh, oh, I'm going to be paid $125,000 or $130,000 or $300,000, or let me tell you, all of a sudden you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be very interested in going into the teaching field. They will also be, a lot of Mr. Z does this because he loves his field. He loves working with young people. And so he is as excited about that. He is a superb teacher because of his understanding of the value of knowledge and because of his love and affection for his students. So you want to attract people who say, you know, I love the field of teaching, but I can't afford it. If you are a first grade teacher and you're teaching in Noblesville, you are only paid $50,000. Now, to you, that sounds like a lot of money. $50,000 for a first grade teacher is a pittance. And so money is a way that you attract people. The other thing too is that the schools of education, so Purdue University, Ball State University, Indiana University, they all have what they call schools of education. Those schools of education where you help to train teachers in the proper teaching methods and where they also acquire the substantive knowledge about math or science happens at these universities. They also need to make sure that the information that they are imparting to their teachers is of top quality, that they really also are well trained.
Yes, but what I asked was how would you plan to actually make sure this happens as Congresswoman?
As a Congresswoman, I am very limited as to what that has to happen at the state level and the local level. That happens with your state level, your state and local leaders. There are two things that I would do at the federal level in my role as your Congresswoman. One is the money. One is trying to get more money that would come down to the state of Indiana. Right now, so that's one. The second would be that in the Department of Education is a federal agency, and its role is to look to see as a curriculum development. It has to do with what is, if you're teaching science, these are sort of like the overall guiding principles that the state and local that the local schools would be referring to. They would look at the. Let me start over again. Sorry. The Department of Education is responsible for providing guidance to the states and their local schools on how certain subjects should be taught. So it does not necessarily tell you specifically what you should be doing, but it offers, this is what your science program should look like. This is what your reading and literacy program looks like. This is actually how you teach literacy skills. Literacy skills is a very important and a complex development skill. Learning how to read actually is all about decoding all those little symbols on that page, which are those letters. How does your brain decode them? How does it make sense of those words and those paragraphs? So that is, but they just provide information that is then up to the states to figure out what to do with. So I don't have that much control. It really has to do with your state representatives and your state senators.
Okay, that makes me want to ask a question. If you were to win, and would you want to go like for Indiana Senate or Mayor of Indiana to help out more?
So I would be, as your next Congresswoman, going to Congress in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. I would be working with your governor, with your future state representatives and state senators. We have right now other elections. You have elections for the president, also for Congress, which is me, and then you have at the local level your state representatives and not senators, but state representatives right now in my district. So I would be wanting to hear from them at the top level. I would want to be hearing from them. What are your concerns? Are you getting that money that I am sending at the federal level? Is it making its way to Anderson High School? These would be the kinds of questions that I would that I have control over. So I'm limited, very limited by what I do. That happens really with your local leaders.
Okay. Do you have any previous experience working in some type of government role?
I do not have any experience running for public office. So this has been a daunting process, rather terrifying at times because I'm not quite sure that I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So, and there's not a lot of people that have done it. So it's very hard to find the expertise to guide me. So it's like trying to figure it out, and you're sort of stumbling around. But I look back and I think about what I've learned in the past several months, and it is truly awesome because I have learned. I have gained knowledge. I viewed this as a learning experience. So no matter whether or not I win or lose, I have learned something new. I have learned to find that inner strength within myself. I am so glad that I pursued an interest and dream of mine. And at least I say, oh, I tried that. I did it. It worked out or it didn't work out. But no matter what, I've learned. And I've got the opportunity to meet young people and to hear from people that I never would have otherwise. It's been a win-win situation.
All right. For the new voters, so the people that just now turned 18, like me and Mason, why should we vote for you?
You should vote for me for a number of reasons. One, you should vote for me because of my background and my experience. I served in the military. I served in the United States Army and Reserve. I have a great understanding and appreciation for the needs of a strong intelligence, military, global military leadership, global trade partnerships. I also, these are things that are very difficult for young people to understand. But your security, your national security is absolutely critical. Everything that you're doing now with your lives is done electronically. The ability right now for the Russians, the Iranians, for anyone around the world to compromise and get into your school systems, it's happened. It's happened with hospital systems in the state of Indiana. It has happened with water treatment plants where you have had people around the world who want to create chaos, who have been able to hack into our systems and to debilitate them. This is my background, serving as a reservist for a big logistics unit in the military as an intelligence analyst means that I understand what the implications are for your security, your national security and defense. I also worked on international trade and economic studies. Again, this is not something that interests you, but you are surrounded in your community of Anderson by companies like NTN that rely on being able to sell their ball bearings, their products to companies and individuals around the world. So understanding the importance of trade is something that I bring to this. This is, again, not something you understand, but the Anderson community, the taxes that you need to have a great, thriving school come from the activities of companies like NTN, which are right down the road from you. And they need to be making money, and they do it by selling their ball bearings, their products all around the world.
You mentioned you had experience in the Army as a reservist. For people that want to join the Army, what do you have to say to them?
I would say that it was one of the most important experiences I've ever had in my life, that I met so many interesting people from very different backgrounds than mine. I think I was in my platoon. There were probably about, it started off with 65 of us. I was probably one of a handful that had a college degree. Most of them had been, had even graduated from high school. So I just had a wonderful experience learning from them, hearing about their lives, and learning about if you want to accomplish things, you need a great team. You need expertise. You need great leaders. My drill sergeants, I have, to this day, it's been decades, I admire them with all my heart and soul because they taught me survival skills. How are you going to survive when you are being fired at? How are you going to live out in very hostile environments when you're camping in a tent, if you are lucky to have a tent? So there were and then I had to learn all kinds of skills. Was trained also as a medic. How do you care for people who have been injured out on the battlefield? So it was all the relationships, and it was the skill set that I learned that was invaluable just through my military training.
All right. Do you have any closing remarks or statements you would like to add?
I would say to all of you young people, be brave, be courageous, seek out knowledge, be determined to be the best you can be. Don't let people tell you it can't be done, you can't do it. Find a way to pursue your dreams, to educate yourselves. Embrace facts. Read lots of different sources. Do not just go to TikTok to get your information. Be willing to pay money to the reporters who put their lives on the line to get the facts for you, so that you are educated, you know the truth, you can make good decisions in your life, and you can know what your public servants are doing. What you are doing right now is critical, because I may be your public servant, and you want to have assurance that I am representing you, that my interests are your interests. My role is to go to Washington, D.C. and make sure that your stories, your concerns, your interests are represented. I become your voice in Washington, D.C., and you want to make sure that I am doing that job. And that's what you will be playing. That's what you will do in your lives, whether or not you are working in the press, whether or not you're working as reporters, or whether or not you are a citizen that gets out there to vote. Get out and vote, because your vote will matter, and you will be. It can be, these elections can come down to 1 or 2 votes. So get out and vote, make your voice heard, and embrace your democracy.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.